I have to admit, I have not been able to do this video properly. I have botched it so many times because I have been angry. I'm angry because I don't care about seeing Survivor Series, and I want to. I want to see Survivor Series, and I'm going to watch it, but I want to be happy to see it. I want to be invested in it, and I have nothing to be invested in. You see my point of view, and you take your own opinions into this. I really want to hear your opinions after this video is done. Anyway, opening up the show with the Brothers of Destruction and the Wyatts. I was upset about what happened last week, where the Wyatts were completely destroyed. All of the Wyatts between Bray, Luke, Eric, and Braun Strowman were completely annihilated. So that made no sense. Then you bring in the Brothers of Destruction, who is the strongest that the WWE has in giving people interest, because the crowd was going crazy over them both. And even though Kane has had his moments where he's really been down, he regained a lot of his credibility once he was standing not behind. Well, sometimes he was behind The Undertaker, but essentially he was by his side as his brother. He gained a lot of cred. But the minute they opened their mouth about Survivor Series and Bray choosing two people that will face them is when all credibility went out the window for the Brothers of Destruction. These guys need something to sink their teeth into. And you're telling me the strongest character out of the entire situation was Bray Wyatt, who you just squashed last week. Now, he's not going to be in the match at all. He's going to pick two other people where he's going to probably be at ringside with the extra person. My feeling is this. It's going to be Braun Strowman and probably Luke Harper. Braun Strowman because he's the newest. Luke Harper because he has the most development between him and Eric Rowan. And I know that's stretching it a lot. So if I'm right, Eric and Bray Wyatt's going to be at ringside messing with them. So why aren't they in a 4-on-2 handicap match like I said? This makes no freaking sense. Then the Wyatts come out. And this is a thing that people don't get yet. Bray has lost his edge. Not because he can't talk well or do work in the ring. It's because he's been squashed so much. The crowd doesn't care now. They go, what? What? They're whying him now. They're whatting him now. Heavily. It's happened before where he's been what? But not much. This time around, almost everybody whatted him because they knew he was a joke. And if anyone really believes Bray Wyatt isn't a joke, please tell me the reason why. What has he accomplished without any Wyatt family? Or having an extremely drawn-out feud between him, Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, John Cena. Tell me, how has he benefited from it? Now let's move on to the matches that were for the quarterfinals. And I believe there were only 3. ADR versus Kalisto. I would have liked to see ADR versus Ryback. I feel this is being politically correct to the extreme. You're telling me Ryback could not beat Kalisto. I'm not saying Kalisto's a bad wrestler. I know he's a great luchador. But let's be honest here. They're trying to build up ADR. So they decide instead of putting a big muscle brute who has a lot of following right now, and that's a Ryback, who himself should be in the title series right now. In the WWE World Title Tournament. I'm saying title series like TNA, sorry. But you get my point. He is really over with the crowd. The crowd loves him. And I'll be talking about him in a moment. But you're gonna tell me that Kalisto won this? And then the way he went up against ADR, he struggled even worse? Because he's a luchador too? Are you serious? This was totally political correctness to get ADR over, and it was stupid. ADR won, but it doesn't really matter. Kevin Owens versus Neville. A Canadian versus a Brit. To be honest, both of them have been buried. I don't care about Kevin Owens, even though I do like him. I don't care about him for the simple reason he's doing nothing. He had such momentum after he won against John Cena that won, and they dropped his ass. He's stuck with a title that does nothing for him. Then you have Neville, who had such great promise as the man gravity forgot, but then he's been dropped to the ground. So basically they're both jobbers now. And the only reason that Owens doesn't job as much as Neville is because he's holding a freaking title. And that's the only difference. That's the reason why he won. And then Cesaro versus... This is a match I wish didn't happen. I'd rather have seen Cesaro go up against ADR and Roman Reigns go up against... Owens, for the simple reason that it would have been better that both of them had made it to the finals separately, because this was one of the best matches they had. Excuse me, a little sick. But essentially, this was the best match they had in the tournament so far. And to be honest, it would have been better that Roman Reigns went against Neville and ADR went against Cesaro. And both of them won that way. Because when you see this now, you have to pick between the two. And to see who is the most well-polished, the most well-built, who can carry a basic promo, who really is ready for this, it's Cesaro. Cesaro. I'm not saying I hate Roman Reigns. I like Roman Reigns. But he's not ready. He was pushed into this position once before, and he got hurt in the middle of it, having a what was it? It was a hernia. And that dropped him quickly. And to be honest, it was better that he did, because he wasn't ready then. But now, the way they built him so badly that he's not ready anyway. He's not ready. He's a mess. So, when it comes to it, Cesaro was the more viable threat to the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. And then seeing that Cesaro, who should be a face, who was talking with Triple H, was kind of stupid as it was. I know, I understand why Triple H was doing this for the night. He wanted to screw over Roman Reigns. But Cesaro is a good guy. People want him as a good guy. He wrestles, even though extremely strong, he is a good guy. And they went there with this. And it was a mistake to do it. Because Cesaro should be the one that's going to the Final Four. And hell, he should be the one to win it. He should. But let's move on to the rest of the show, which was not great. Tyler Breeze versus R-Truth, which was a squash match, again for R-Truth, who's doing absolutely nothing. But then you see Tyler Breeze with Summer Rae. So what is... Oh, I forgot one more match. I will be getting to that in a minute, but I want to say this one first, because the reason I'm saying this before I'm talking about Dean Ambrose and Dolph Ziggler is because we went from having a severe feud between Lana, Summer Rae, Dolph Ziggler, and Rusev to actually Summer Rae doing absolutely nothing with a new NXT guy where she's stuck in mid-card hell. The new guy isn't going to be doing anything. He's stuck in mid-card hell. And R-Truth is totally a jobber in mid-card hell. And then we move on. Well, it is good that Tyler Breeze did win, but doesn't matter. I do believe he has great potential to be something entirely different for the WWE, but doesn't matter because they're not going to go anywhere with him. And then here's the flip side of that match, the last of the quarterfinals, which was Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler. The crowd was going crazy for them both, but that wasn't the best match of the night. The problem I felt was that when it comes to both these guys, they have been buried badly. And between the two, of course, you could say Dolph Ziggler's had the most time. Because when it comes to Dean, he's been a sidekick, working with Roman Reigns, who's had the most prominent time. So the reason you see that this is sad, and it shouldn't be the best match of the night, is because now Roman Reigns is going to go up against Dean Ambrose as one of the final four. To put friend against friend. And that's something we didn't need. Not now. Really? It would make sense to do that because if they have any animosity after the match is over, it would make sense once, and that's if Roman Reigns wins the match and wins the titles. Next Raw, you can have them both start something together. But to be honest, I don't believe they're going to go there with Roman Reigns and Dean Ambrose. I just don't feel like they will, so that felt like a waste of time. It did. And I really felt sorry for Dolph because between the two, Dolph has had more time to develop, even though he's not cared about by the WWE. New Day versus the Usos and Ryback. Now the problem I have with this, why is the Usos working with someone extra every time? Aren't the Usos ready to go tag team by themselves? Why do you have to put a third person in? And I know people are going to say, well, New Day messed them up. Well, New Day faced them 2-on-3 before, and a lot of times they kicked their ass. So you tell me, why you got to team them up with Ryback? And then why did Ryback have to DQ the freaking match? Are you going to turn Ryback heel again? Which I don't think it will happen. Or are you trying to turn the Usos heel? Because what happened with Neville the week before, where he hurt Jay's shoulder a little bit, it makes you think, well, the Usos are climbing a hill. There's something going on. Doesn't mean they're going to succeed over adversity. It just makes me think they're going to turn the Usos heel. And that's something people don't want. The people want to keep them face. Unless I'm wrong and they're staying face and just they're sticking them together because they want to do a 6-on-6 man not handicap match. You see I'm frustrated. A 6-man tag at Survivor Series. That's probably what's happening, but that's just my feelings. There's something that upsets me. Nick Bockwinkel, an incredibly great wrestler, recently died. And they just mention it in passing, and they don't show any video segment. They show no pictures of him, nothing. You're trying to tell me that you couldn't throw something together within about an hour or two. Just a couple of stills from any of the videos you got, WWE. You said go to WWE.com. I don't know if he died yesterday, but you can't tell me that, one, you could not do a special for him where everyone tolls the bells for Nick Bockwinkel. Like the Ultimate Warrior, Roddy Piper, the Dusty Rhodes. You're telling me they wouldn't do that for him? What the fuck is that? That's bullshit. That really upset me. Now, the Dudley Boyz versus the Ascension. The only reason I'm mentioning this is because they were dead on arrival. The crowd barely cared at all. You're telling me that the Dudleys, who had incredible momentum when it came into the place, are now relegated to going against the Ascension, who basically are totally buried. And the crowd doesn't even care. Devon and Bubba Ray had to literally beg the crowd to care. They say, come on! They're begging the crowd to care. Because the crowd was dead. Didn't give a fuck about them. And that's so sad. The WWE has badly utilized old talent. Like The Undertaker and Kane. They're badly underutilized and totally screwed up the Dudleys. I couldn't believe they screwed up. How can you screw up the Dudleys? Icons in TNA and WWE. That every time when they're seen, people love them. And you fuck them up, WWE. Oh, I cursed again. I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. But let's move on to the end of the show. And the title. Can Charlotte Flair carry a pay-per-view? Looking at this, I have a feeling that they're going to make the Divas Championship very special. I don't know if it's going to close the show in Survivor Series. I don't think it will. Because they're not talking about Kevin Owens actually having a match at Survivor Series, since they haven't announced nothing yet. But the New Day's not announced to actually have any matches there. And Kevin Owens is not announced to have any matches there. And currently Alberto Del Rio, he's going to be working to see if he can actually get the WWE World Heavyweight Championship. So he's not going to be defending his title. So what do we got? We got the Divas. This upset me very badly. I know a lot of people thinking, damn, you're upset about this entire show. This was the worst thing that got me upset. You got two women who are second generation, which is a Paige and a Charlotte. I understand about Paige. She is a second generation because her mom was a wrestler and her dad was a promoter, I believe. Both of them were probably promoting. And then you got Charlotte, who is the daughter of one of the greatest icons in history. So why the fuck couldn't you done this with Tamina? Charlotte tried. And I understand understand that her dad helped her. And I understand that her brother just recently died in this year. And I never thought of doing a debate of the week on that one, because I didn't really think it was that truly important, even though he did contribute a lot in wrestling to a certain extent. But the point is, she barely managed to carry that promo. And it wasn't because she was thinking of her brother. It's just that Charlotte is not that well polished. She really wasn't that ready. I'm sorry. Even though she's been trained very well and she talks pretty decent, if she gets that emotional, she completely botches. I can understand. And to Paige's credit, she tried to save it. But even she began to get a little bit emotional, because that was very upsetting. One of the reasons why Charlotte became a wrestler is because her family's a part of it. Her brother was a wrestler at one point. But the problem here is this. You're trying to make this a very intimate feud. And at the last minute, you drop a bomb of Paige showing total disrespect to the Flair family and to Charlotte Flair's brother. If you'd done this weeks ahead of time and tried to build up into it, this would have really made perfect sense why it culminates in her getting so upset. If she started mentioning her brother earlier, this would have made sense. But at the very last minute she mentions her brother, and the segment just falls apart. I don't feel like Charlotte can carry this. I just don't see it. Not because she couldn't separate her personal from doing her job as a wrestler. The problem is that they didn't build this properly enough. And they throw this all on Charlotte at the last minute. And Paige for that matter. And you're expected at that moment to get it perfect. You can't. And it just falls apart. Mind you, the fight afterward made perfect sense. And Charlotte being so upset in the ring makes perfect sense. But if they had built up to this, this would have been the most best thing we've ever seen from the Divas in history. This so intimate. A friend who started at NXT, well, friends starting NXT, after one gains the title and then the other one gains the title, one gets jealous of the other one and then throws the death of her brother into a friend's face, which builds that up into the culmination of a match which could headline Survivor Series. I don't believe it will, but it could. Either near the end, or it could actually end it. And if it's going to end it, this was terrible. And I think of Tamina, Superfly's daughter, who really has been there longer than anyone else. I'm sorry. There's two of the most oldest women there, and that is Tamina and Naomi. Out of all the new women, I'm talking about the new women, not the older women, not Layla. I'm not talking about her. Not Michelle McCool. I'm talking about these two women who should be in this. That Tamina and Naomi should have something going. They should have an actual feud. You're telling me you couldn't do Tamina, who's Superfly's daughter, where Naomi is not. She's just married to her cousin, which is Jonathan. And then Tamina finally gets the title, and Naomi gets totally angry and jealous, which makes sense because she's been fucked over so many times over the years. They could have had this feud. Those two could have had that moment, and I believe they could have carried it. But we get this. At the last minute before Survivor Series, it angers me. I don't like this. And I want to like it. The Divas may actually headline Survivor Series. They closed a freaking show with them. And I'm frustrated. But this is just my point of view. What about you? So I hope you enjoyed the Zane's View. Please give me a comment below. I will be doing a debate of the week and a other Zane's View. Two people asked me to do two videos, which I'll be doing it. One might be a multiple-parter, which will be TNA's booking from 2015, and then another one, TNA's booking into 2016. Or I may just combine it, TNA's booking going into 2016. And the other one, I'll talk about when I do the other Zane's View. So have a good day and have a good night. Peace out!